Your fiancé is plotting against you. Leave now. Alara's fingers trembled as she slid the napkin beneath the wineglass. 7 words in blue ink that would either save the most dangerous man in the city or put a bullet in her own mother's chest before sunrise. Across the candlelit table, Celeste Rowan smiled like an angel. Her red lips curled around a secret. In 45 minutes, her fiancé would be dead. A gunman in a green jacket was already watching from the corner booth, and a waitress no one ever noticed had just declared war on a mafia empire. Before we go any further, please take a moment to subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell, and stay with me until the very end of this story, because what happens in the next 2 hours will leave you breathless. And in the comments below, tell me the name of the city you're watching from tonight. I want to see how far this story has traveled across the world. Every comment matters to me. Every city on the map means the world. Now let's begin. Table 12. Go. Now. Marco shoved the leather menu into Alara Whitfield's hand so hard the corner cut into her thumb. Marco, I just finished table 9. Table 12 is yours. You don't argue. You don't breathe wrong. You don't even blink wrong. Do you hear me, Alara? Who's at table 12? Marco leaned in close enough that she could smell the mint on his breath and the fear underneath it. Jack Moretti. Alara's knees almost buckled. Every waitress in the city had heard the name. Every bartender, every dishwasher, every cab driver who had ever picked up a fare outside the courthouse. Dominic Jack Moretti, the man whose father had built this city out of concrete and blood. The man who, at 34 years old, had inherited an empire and killed 3 men to keep it. Marco, please give it to Rosa. Rosa has tables 4, 5, and 6. You've got 12. He asked for the quietest section, and you work the quietest section. He asked for me. He asked for the section. Now listen to me, Alara Whitfield. You smile, you pour, you say sir and ma'am. You do not speak unless spoken to. And whatever you see at that table tonight, whatever you hear, you forget it before you walk back through the kitchen door. Do I make myself clear? Yes. Say it. I forget it before I walk back through the kitchen door. Good girl. And Alara, who had a shut-off notice for $642 folded in her apron pocket, and a mother at home whose inhaler had 3 puffs left in it, and a rent bus check that was 9 days late, smoothed her black skirt, lifted her chin, and walked across the dining room toward the most dangerous man in 3 states. Good evening, sir. My name is Alara. I'll be taking care of you tonight. Jack Moretti looked up, and for one long, silent second, Alara forgot how to stand up. His eyes were the color of a frozen lake in December gray-green, and so quiet she could feel her own heartbeat in the soles of her feet. He had a scar running from his left ear down to the edge of his collar. A black suit, a black shirt, a gold pinky ring that caught the candlelight like a warning. Alara, he said, not a greeting, an acknowledgement, like a man marking a deer at the edge of a tree line. Yes, sir. Thank you for taking care of us tonight. My pleasure, sir. And then the woman beside him laughed. Sir, isn't that precious Jackie? She called you sir, like a little schoolgirl. Alara turned her head and met Celeste Rowan for the first time. Celeste was not beautiful the way other women were beautiful. Celeste was beautiful the way a diamond in a glass case is beautiful. Polished, sharp, and absolutely untouchable. Platinum hair swept into a twist, a dress the color of fresh arterial blood, lips painted to match, nails painted to match, and blue eyes that were already weighing Alara like loose change a jeweler was about to toss in the discard tray. What's your name again, sweetheart? Alara, ma'am. Alara. Celeste tasted the name, disliked it, set it down. And how long have you worked here, darling? 3 years, ma'am. And what do you do on your days off, dear? I take care of my mother, ma'am. Oh, Celeste's painted lips curved. How tragic. Is she ill? She is. And is she dying? The word landed on the table between them like a dropped knife. Alara did not flinch. 3 years of waiting tables had taught her never to flinch. Would you like to hear the wine list, ma'am? My fiancé will order, Celeste said without looking away. He always orders. I just sit here and look pretty. Don't I, darling? She laid her hand over Jack's. Jack did not move his hand. He did not return her smile. He looked at Alara and he said, the Barolo, the 97, 2 glasses. Right away, sir. Alara turned to walk away. And that was the moment the knife dropped. She had taken only 3 steps. 3 steps, no more, when she heard Celeste whisper, "Drink it slowly tonight, Jackie. Savor every drop. It's your favorite." "It is." "Then drink it all." Alara's feet stopped moving. She did not know why. Her legs simply refused her. And in the quarter second that she hesitated, the quarter second of a woman pretending to adjust her apron, Alara turned her head just enough to see Celeste Rowan's face in the edge of her vision. Celeste was not looking at Jack anymore. Celeste was looking across the dining room at a man in a dark green jacket, a man who was not eating, a man whose table held a single glass of water and nothing else, a man who was watching Jack Moretti the way a butcher watches a calf. And Celeste nodded at him, a nod so small a normal person would have missed it, and the man nodded back. Alara's blood turned to cold water. "Polly, the Barolo 97, 2 glasses." "Oof, you're serving royalty tonight, sweetheart. Don't spill." "Polly, what?" "That man, window, green jacket. No food." Polly peered over her shoulder. His face, normally red as a radish, went the color of ash. "I don't know him. He came in alone." "I see that." "He ordered water." "I see that too, Alara." "Polly." "No." Polly's voice dropped an octave. "You serve the wine. You smile. You walk away. You do not see him. You hear me. But if something is, nothing is anything, honey. Nothing is ever anything in this restaurant. That's how we all keep our jobs. That's how we all keep our kneecaps." Alara stared at him. "Polly, that woman just told him to drink every drop of the wine." "Women say lots of things to men, Alara." "Not like that. Especially like that." "Polly, please." "Go," Polly hissed, "before someone notices we're talking." She poured the wine. Her hands did not shake. Her mother had taught her that back when she was 7 years old and the social worker was knocking. The heart can scream baby, but the hands must stay very, very still. "Thank you, Alara," Jack said in that low voice. "My pleasure, sir." "Tell me something, dear," Celeste said, tilting her head. "Do you believe in love?" Alara blinked. "Ma'am." "Love, do you believe in it at a woman your age?" "No ring on your finger, I was just curious." "I haven't thought about it much, ma'am." "You should think about it." Celeste took a sip of wine, a real sip. Her throat moved. She swallowed. "Love is the only thing in this world worth dying for. Don't you agree, Jackie?" "I agree, Celeste. It's also the only thing worth killing for." "Will there be anything else?" Alara asked. "The carpaccio to start," Jack said. 2 ribeyes, medium rare." "Right away, sir." She walked, and she did not breathe until she was through the swing door of the kitchen. "Rosa." "Honey, you look like you've seen the devil." "Rosa, come here, come here, come here." Rosa put down her water tray. She had been a waitress for 23 years. She had raised 3 children on these tips. Her husband was doing 9 years for tax fraud. She had the patience of a woman who had outlived every storm life had thrown at her. "What is it, baby?" "If you thought someone at your table was about to be murdered, what would you do?" Rosa did not laugh. She did not blink. She did not tell Alara she was being dramatic. She looked very slowly toward the swing door. Then she looked back at Alara. "Who's the someone?" "Jack Moretti." "Dios mío." "Rosa, she's poisoning him. I think she's poisoning him. Or there's a man with a gun, or both. I don't know. Rosa, I don't know, but she's going to kill him. She's going to kill him tonight, and he doesn't know." "Alara, listen to me." "Rosa, listen to me. You have a mother at home, yes, yes. You have an electricity bill, yes, yes. Then you walk out there, you serve the food, you smile, and you let God sort out the mafia. That is not your war, Alara." "Rosa, my father." "Your father is dead, honey. God rest him. And do you know why he is dead? Because he stopped on a highway to help a stranger, because he was a good man. Good men die on highways, Alara. Quiet women go home to their mothers. You hear me? You hear me." Alara heard her. She heard her. She heard her. And then she reached for the check pad in her apron. She tore off a blank sheet. She reached for the blue pen, and she wrote in a hand that did not shake until the very last letter, "Your fiancé is plotting against you. Leave now." She folded it once. She folded it twice. She pressed it flat in her palm. And she walked back out to table 12 with her father's voice in her head, the voice of a mechanic who had died on a highway helping a stranger. The voice that had once tucked her in and whispered, "Baby girl, there are two kinds of people in this world. The ones who walk past and the ones who jump in. The ones who jump in sometimes drown. But when they stand in front of God, they stand with their heads up." She reached the table. "Here is your carpaccio, sir." "Thank you, Alara." Her fingers brushed his wine glass. She slid the folded napkin underneath the base. She stepped back. She smiled. "Enjoy." She walked to the service station. She leaned against it. She counted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do not look. Do not look. Do not look. At the count of 15, she looked. Jack Moretti lifted his wine glass. He paused. He set it back down. His fingers slid casually under the base the way a man might brush crumbs from a cloth and close around the napkin. He opened it under the edge of the table out of Celeste's line of sight. He read it, and then Jack Moretti smiled. He smiled across the candlelight at the woman he had been planning to marry. "Celeste," he said loud enough for Alara to hear, "you are the most beautiful woman in this dining room tonight." "Oh, Jackie, I mean it. I have never seen you more radiant. You are going to make me blush. Let me look at you." He lifted his wine glass. He raised it in a slow, unhurried toast. He brought it to his lips. He tilted it. He set it back down. His lips were dry. He had not swallowed a single drop. Alara's heart almost gave out. He knew. He knew. Alara. The voice was at her ear before she felt the hand at her elbow. "Marco, please. Back office? Now. I have tables. Now." He dragged her through the swing door, past the line cook, past Rosa, who looked up with eyes full of sudden panic, past the dishwasher, into the back office where the security monitors glowed blue in the dark. "Sit down. Marco, sit down." She sat. "I saw you on the camera, Alara." "Marco, the one over the bar. I saw you write it. I saw you fold it. I saw you slide it under that glass. What did it say, Marco? What did it say, Alara?" "She's going to kill him." Silence. "She's going to kill him tonight, Marco. There's a man in a green jacket by the window, and he's waiting for a signal, and she told him to drink the wine slowly, and she nodded at him, and I saw her nod at him, and I had to warn him. Marco, I had to." Marco sank into the chair so hard it rolled 2 feet back and hit the wall. "Oh, God." "Marco, please tell me I did the right thing." "Alara." "Marco, do you know who Celeste Rowan is?" "She's his fiancée. She is Vincent Rowan's only daughter." "I don't know what that means." "It means that 6 years ago, the Rowans and the Morettis were killing each other in the street. It means that 6 years ago, they signed a peace. It means that the only thing keeping this city from burning to the ground is that wedding, Alara. That wedding in 6 weeks. And if Jack Moretti knows that Celeste was going to kill him tonight, then that peace is over and every block from the river to the stadium is going to bleed. But I had to. I'm not finished. Marco, if Celeste finds out that a waitress wrote that note, Alara, if she finds out it was you, she will not just kill you. She will kill your mother. She will find your apartment building. She will burn it down with everyone in it. Do you understand me? Marco, oh God, Marco. Walk in, freezer. Right now, lock the door. Do not come out until I come and get you. Do you hear me? I hear you. Run. She ran. She ran past Rosa, who caught her sleeve and whispered, Dios, que hiciste, Alara. And Alara pulled free. She ran past the line cook. She ran past the stacks of clean plates. She ran through the storeroom. She reached the walk-in freezer. She yanked open the heavy steel door. She stepped inside. She slammed it behind her. She slid down against a stack of frozen sirloin in a room that was 18 degrees below zero. And she pressed her hands over her mouth to muffle the sound coming out of her body. Not a scream, not a sob, but the noise an animal makes when it has finally understood that the jaws of the trap have closed. And in the dining room, Jack Moretti reached very slowly for his water glass instead of his wine glass. He took a long, slow drink. He set the water glass down. He looked across the candlelight at the woman he had loved, or had believed he loved, for 6 years, and he smiled at her the way he had smiled at her the very first night he had ever met her. "Celeste, my darling." "Yes, my love. I have to tell you something." "Anything, Jackie." "I know." Celeste's face did not move. Not a muscle, not a breath, not a blink. For one full second, Celeste Rowan was a mannequin in a red dress, and then very slowly her right hand slid under the edge of the tablecloth, and her fingers closed around something. And across the restaurant, the man in the green jacket stood up from his booth, and he began to walk toward the table. And Jack Moretti, without ever taking his eyes off his fiancée, reached inside his jacket, and the hand came back out holding something black and heavy and cold, and he laid it on the white tablecloth between them. And the candle flame threw a long dancing shadow across the barrel of the gun. The gun sat on the white tablecloth between them like a third guest at the table. Celeste Rowan did not look at it. Celeste Rowan looked at her fiancé. "Jackie." Her voice was a silk ribbon perfectly folded. "What is that?" "You know what it is, Celeste." "Darling, you are going to frighten the waitress." "The waitress is not here." "Put it away, my love. People are watching." "Let them watch." The man in the green jacket was still walking. 6 tables away, or 4. His right hand was inside his coat. His eyes had not left Jack Moretti's face. And Jack Moretti, who had not once turned his head to look, said very softly, "Tell your man to stop walking, Celeste, or I will shoot him before he takes another step." "Jackie, I don't know what you're—" "Stop him!" 3 tables. Celeste's blue eyes flicked just once toward the approaching man. The man stopped. The man stood there in the middle of the dining room, halfway between his booth and the table with his hand inside his coat, and 200 people pretending not to see him. "That's better," Jack said. "Jackie, please." "Sit down, Celeste." "I am sitting, darling." "I said sit down. All the way. Put both of your hands on the table. Palms flat, where I can see them." "Jackie." "Do it." Celeste put both of her hands on the table. Palms flat, red nails against white linen. The diamond on her ring finger caught the candlelight and threw it back at Jack Moretti like an accusation. In the walk-in freezer, Alara Whitfield could not feel her hands anymore. 18 degrees below zero. 3 minutes in, her apron was thin, her black skirt was thinner. Her fingers had gone past burning into that strange numbness that felt almost warm, and she knew from the one winter she had slept in her car that warmth was the worst sign of all. "Marco," she whispered it against the steel door. "Marco, please come back. Marco, please, please, please." Her phone buzzed in her apron pocket. She pulled it out with fingers that would not close. "Mom, 8:04 p.m. Baby, the landlord came. He said tomorrow is the last day." "What do I tell him?" Alara stared at the screen until the screen went dark. She did not type back. She did not know what to type. She pressed the phone to her chest and she closed her eyes, and she thought of her mother sitting on the edge of the bed in their one-bedroom apartment with the peeling wallpaper holding a cordless phone waiting. And then from the other side of the freezer door, Alara heard footsteps. Not Marco's footsteps. Marco walked fast and light like a man who had spent his whole life carrying plates. These footsteps were slow, heavy. The footsteps of a man who was not in a hurry because a man in a hurry cannot hear things. Alara held her breath. The footsteps stopped directly outside the freezer door. A voice low and male on the other side of 6 inches of steel said, "She's in here." And a second voice said, "Open it." At table 12, Jack Moretti had not raised his voice. He did not need to. "How long, Celeste?" "Jackie." "How long have you been planning this?" "I love you, Jackie." 6 months, a year. "I have loved you from the moment I met you." 18 months. "Don't do this, Jackie, please." "How long is Celeste?" Celeste's lower lip did something small, a tremor, an almost quiver. It was the performance of a woman who had been performing her entire life, and for the first time at that table, the performance was not quite working. 2 years, she whispered. Jack Moretti did not move. 2 years, he repeated. "Jackie, you don't understand. Make me understand." Your father signed a peace with my father." "My father is dying, Jackie." "I know. He has 6 months, maybe less." "I know. And when he dies, the family needs a leader. Not a son-in-law, a leader. And you thought that leader was you." "I'm that leader." And I was in the way. Jackie, say it, Celeste, but you were in the way. For the first time in 6 minutes, Jack Moretti smiled. It was not a warm smile. It was the smile of a man who had just been handed the last piece of a puzzle that had been keeping him up at night for a year and a half. Thank you, Celeste. That is the first honest thing you have said to me since the night we met. Jackie, please, How did you plan to do it? What? Tonight, the wine. Was it poison, or was it a signal for your friend over there? Celeste's eyes flicked involuntarily to the green jacket. Both, Jack said. Of course, both. The wine to slow my reflexes. Your friend to finish what the wine started. Jackie. What was in the wine, Celeste? I am curious. I will know by morning anyway. Tetrodotoxin. Jack's eyes did not move. Pufferfish poison. Yes. How much enough? For me, for you, and for yourself, were you going to take a sip, Celeste, for the cameras? For the story, did you have an antidote in your purse? Celeste's hand twitched on the tablecloth. Don't move, Jack said. I wasn't. Do not move your hands, Celeste, please. I have loved you for 6 years. Do not make me do something tonight that I will regret for the rest of my life. Open it, I said. The second voice was closer to the freezer door. The first voice grunted. A hand landed on the latch. Alara heard the metal move. She scrambled backward into the corner behind the rolling rack of frozen bread, and she pressed herself as flat against the aluminum shelving as her body would go, and she did not breathe, and she did not breathe, and she did not breathe. The door swung open. Light poured in. Alara! It was Marco's voice. She almost cried. Marco! Shh, shh, come out, quick, quick now. Marco, who is with you? A friend, out now. She stumbled forward. Her legs did not work right. Marco caught her under the arms and half carried her out of the freezer and into the storeroom. And there, standing in the dim light by the shelves of canned tomatoes, was a man Alara had never seen before in her life. He was tall. He wore a black overcoat. He had a face like a closed fist, no expression, no softness, no curiosity. His hands were empty, which somehow frightened her more than if they had not been. This is the one, the man said to Marco. This is her Luca. Wrote the note. The man Luca looked at Alara the way a doctor looks at an x-ray. How old are you, sweetheart? 29. Where's your family? My mother, just my mother. Where does she live? I can't tell you that. Sweetheart, his voice was almost gentle. I am not asking to hurt her. I am asking because the boss will want to know that she is safe before he thanks you. Where does your mother live? Marco, please, Alara. Marco's voice cracked. Tell him, for God's sake. Tell him. 8th and Marston, apartment 4B. Luca pulled out a phone. He typed a message. He put the phone away. She will have 2 men outside her door in 6 minutes. No one will know they are there. No one will bother her. Do you understand? Yes. Now you come with me. Where the boss wants to see you. No. At table 12, the man in the green jacket was still standing in the middle of the dining room, still frozen, still with his hand inside his coat, because Jack Moretti had not given him permission to do anything else. Celeste. Yes, Jackie. Call your friend over here, slowly, quietly. Tell him to sit down at this table. Tell him he is joining us for dinner. Jackie, do it, Celeste. Do it. Celeste lifted her chin. She turned her head just enough, and she smiled across the restaurant at the man in the green jacket, the way a woman smiles at a cousin at a wedding. Darling, come sit with us. We have a 3rd chair. The man did not move. Tony, she called louder. Come on, honey, come meet Jack. The man's name was Tony. Jack filed that away. Tony, whose last name Jack did not yet know, began to walk again. Slowly, stiffly, like a man whose feet did not want to carry him. He crossed the dining room. He reached the table. He stood there with his hand still inside his coat. Tony, Jack said. Sit down, take your hand out of your coat, put it on the table, palm flat. If your hand comes out holding anything except a napkin, I will put 2 bullets in your chest before you can apologize. Tony sat down. Tony's hand came out of his coat. Tony's hand was empty. Tony's hand went flat on the tablecloth 3 inches from Celeste's. Good, Jack said. Now, the three of us are going to have a lovely dinner, and when the dinner is over, we are going to walk out of this restaurant together, and we are going to get into my bum, and we are going to go somewhere quiet, and we are going to talk. Is that agreeable, Tony? Yes, Mr. Moretti. Celeste. Jackie, please, please, I will do anything. I have money, I have... Is that agreeable, Celeste? Celeste began to cry, not loudly, not dramatically, just two clean tears that slid down her powdered cheeks and left two perfect tracks in her foundation. Yes, Jackie. Good. Then let's order dessert. Luca walked Alara down a back hallway she had never seen past the manager's office, past a door marked private into a small sitting room at the back of the restaurant that had a velvet couch and a lamp and a closed door on the far wall. Sit. She sat on the velvet couch. Her legs were shaking so hard the cushion was moving. He is with her right now, Luca said. He will be here in 20 minutes, maybe 30. Do not be frightened of him. I am frightened of him. I understand, most people are the first time, but you did a very brave thing tonight, Alara Whitfield. How do you know my name? I've known your name since 8:04 p.m. That was 10 minutes ago. It was enough. He stepped toward the door. Wait. Yes. My mother. Already safe, I told you. And my bill, my electric bill, my rent. Luca paused at the door. What about them? Is there going to be a tip? And for the first time, Luca's face did something that was almost a smile. Sweetheart, he said, by tomorrow morning you are not going to have any bills at all. He closed the door behind him, and Alara Whitfield sat alone on the velvet couch, still in her waitress's apron, and she began for the first time that night to cry out. Dinner at table 12 lasted 41 minutes. Jack Moretti ate his ribeye. Medium rare. He ate every bite. He complimented the carpaccio. He asked Tony about his hometown. Tony, whose last name turned out to be Castellano, was from Providence. Tony had 3 children. Tony was being paid $100,000 to kill Jack Moretti tonight. Who is paying you, Tony? Mr. Moretti, I can't. Tony, look at me. Is the man who is paying you in this room or somewhere else? Somewhere else. Then he cannot hurt you tonight. But I can. Who is paying you, Tony? Tony Castellano looked at Celeste. Celeste looked at her wineglass. Mr. Rowan, Tony whispered. Jack Moretti set his fork down. The silence at the table was louder than any of the silences that had come before it. Say that again, Tony. Mr. Vincent Rowan. Celeste's father. Yes. The man who has 6 months to live. Yes. The man who signed a peace with my father 6 years ago. Yes, Mr. Moretti. Jack Moretti closed his eyes for just 1 second. And in that 1 second, the entire architecture of his last 6 years, the courtship, the engagement, the wedding in 6 weeks, the business deals his father had blessed from his sickbed, the territories his own men had surrendered in the name of peace, the cousin he had let live after the bar shooting in 22. The church they had chosen for the ceremony, every single stone of it collapsed in a single silent avalanche behind his eyelids. When he opened his eyes, he was not the same man. Celeste, he said. Yes, Jackie. Your father is not dying, is he? Celeste did not answer. Celeste. No, Jackie, he is not. He never was. He never was. The cancer. A story for you, for your father, while he was alive. The doctor's reports you sent me. Forged. The hospital visits. My cousin is a nurse. She gave me a lanyard. Jack Moretti did something he had not done in 20 years. He laughed. A short, dry, single laugh. The laugh of a man who has just discovered that the ground he has been standing on for 6 years is made of paper. You almost did it, Celeste. Jackie, you almost did it. You almost got everything, the territory, the name, the throne. You almost walked out of this restaurant tonight a widow before you were even a bride. You would have inherited half of my operation through the engagement contract your father made my father sign. Your father would have absorbed the other half within a year. The Morettis would have been a footnote, Celeste, a story old men tell in bars. Jackie, if you let me explain, there is nothing to explain. Please, Tony. Yes, Mr. Moretti. You are going to walk out of this restaurant with me tonight. You are going to give me the name of every man who was waiting outside to help you clean up after you killed me. You are going to give me the address of the safe house where you were supposed to meet them. And then, Tony, I am going to let you live." Tony Castellano made a sound that was half a sob and half a prayer. "You are going to live, Tony, because you have 3 children and because I need you to deliver a message to your employer. Do you want to know what the message is?" "Yes, Mr. Moretti." "The message is she failed, that is all. 3 words. She failed. Do you understand?" "I understand, Mr. Moretti." "Now stand up, slowly, put your napkin on the table. Walk with me to the door. Smile. We are 3 friends who have enjoyed a lovely dinner." Tony stood up. Celeste did not stand up. "Celeste, Jackie, please. Stand up. Jackie, don't. Stand up, Celeste. I am not going to say it again." Celeste stood up. Her legs would not hold her weight. She grabbed the back of her chair. Her diamond ring scraped the wood. "Jackie, please. 6 years. 6 years. There has to be something." There was something. "What, Jackie? Tell me what?" "A waitress." Celeste's face went the color of bone. "What waitress?" "The waitress who wrote me a note." "What note?" "A note that said your fiancé is plotting against you. Leave now." Celeste's eyes went wide. "A waitress?" "Yes." "A waitress in this restaurant?" "Yes." "Which waitress?" "Jackie." And Jack Moretti, for the first time since the candle had been lit, smiled a real smile. "I don't know yet, Celeste, but I am going to find out. And when I find her, I am going to spend the rest of my life making sure she never has to work another shift in her life." At 9:07 p.m., 3 people walked out of Luciano's steakhouse together. A man in a black suit, a man in a green jacket, a woman in a red dress. They got into a long black car that had been waiting at the curb with its engine running. The car drove away. And inside the restaurant, Marco, the host, walked to table 12 on legs that felt like water, and he lifted the folded leather check holder from where it sat next to Jack Moretti's empty wine glass, and he opened it, and he saw what was inside, and he sat down hard in the empty chair that had been Tony's, and he put his face in his hands. Because inside the check holder was a stack of $100 bills, 50 of them, $5,000. And on top of the stack was a handwritten note in the same black ink Jack Moretti had used to sign the receipt. The note said, "For the waitress, tell her to wait. I am coming back for her." In the back sitting room, Alara Whitfield lifted her head from her hands. She had heard the door open. She had heard footsteps cross the floor. She was afraid to look. "Mrs. Whitfield?" The voice was low, calm, familiar. She looked up. Jack Moretti was standing in the doorway of the sitting room with a black overcoat over his shoulders and a tired look in his gray-green eyes. In his right hand, Alara noticed, was wrapped in a white handkerchief that was slowly turning red. "Sir," her voice was a whisper, "you're bleeding." "I am." "You're hurt." "A little." "What happened?" The man in the green jacket changed his mind in the car. "Oh God, he will not be changing it again." Alara began to stand. "Sit," Jack said. "Please, sit." She sat. He stepped into the room. He closed the door behind him. He walked to the chair opposite the velvet couch, and he sat down and he looked at her for a long moment without speaking. "Ms. Whitfield." "Alara, please." "Alara." "Yes, sir." "Why did you do it, sir? Why did you write the note? You don't know me. You have never spoken to me in your life before tonight. You have a mother at home who depends on you. You have bills. Rosa told me about your bills. And yet you risked everything you have in this world to save a man you have never met. Why?" Alara looked down at her hands. They were still shaking. "My father," she whispered. "Your father." "My father died on a highway, helping a stranger change a tire. A truck hit him. The stranger lived. My father did not. He always said there are 2 kinds of people in this world, the ones who walk past and the ones who jump in. And you are the kind who jumps in. I am trying to be, sir." Jack Moretti was silent for a long time. Then he said very quietly, "Alara." "Yes, sir." "Your father was the second kind." "Yes, sir." "And now I owe him a debt." "Sir, you don't owe." "I owe him a debt, Alara. And because he is not here to collect it, I am going to pay it to his daughter. Do you understand me?" No, sir. You will. And Jack Moretti stood up and he walked to the door and he stopped with his hand on the handle and he did not turn around when he said the next thing. Alara, one question. Yes, sir. The man who held your mother's rent agreement, the landlord at 8th and Marston, his name. Do you know his name? Dmitri, sir. Dmitri Volkov. Jack Moretti's shoulders went very, very still. Say that again. Dmitri Volkov. Why, sir? Why does it matter? Jack Moretti did not answer. He opened the door. He stepped through it. And just before the door closed behind him, Alara heard him say to someone in the hallway she could not see, in a voice she did not recognize as the voice of the man who had just been sitting across from her. Luca, get the car. We are going to 8th and Marston. Tonight, right now, and bring the second car, and the third, and tell the men to bring everything. The door clicked shut, and Alara Whitfield sat alone on the velvet couch in an apron, still damp with fear, and she wondered with a slow and cold certainty spreading through her chest what exactly her landlord had done, and who exactly her landlord really was. The door had clicked shut behind Jack Moretti, but Alara Whitfield was already on her feet. Wait! She crossed the small sitting room in 4 fast steps, her apron strings trailing, and she yanked the door open, and she stepped into the hallway, and she saw the backs of 3 men moving toward the rear exit of the restaurant. Mr. Moretti? Jack Moretti stopped walking. He did not turn around. Luca turned around for him. The man in the black overcoat held up one finger. A warning. A do not speak to him right now. Alara did not listen. Mr. Moretti, what did my landlord do? Alara, go back inside. What did he do? Alara. My mother is in that building, Mr. Moretti. If you are going to that apartment tonight with 3 cars and everything, I have a right to know why. Jack Moretti finally turned around. In the dim hallway light, his face looked carved out of something harder than stone. The white handkerchief around his right hand was now fully red. A small spot of blood had found its way onto the cuff of his black shirt. You have a right, he said quietly, to nothing I do not choose to give you. Do you understand me, Alara? Yes, sir. But I am going to give you something anyway because you gave me something first. Thank you, sir. Your landlord is not a landlord. Alara's stomach dropped. He is a man who owns 47 buildings in this city under 4 different names. He launders money through those buildings for a man named Sergei Volkov, his older brother. Sergei Volkov runs a syndicate that tried to take my father's territory in 2011 and lost. Dmitri has been quietly buying up residential buildings in my city ever since, using tenants like your mother as unwitting shields. If a federal agent ever investigates, the buildings look like family-owned real estate. They are not. They are command posts. My mother? Your mother has lived in that building for how long? 19 years. Then your mother has been paying rent to a man who has been laundering drug money through her kitchen for 19 years. And your mother has no idea. Oh God. Alara. Yes, sir. Tonight I am going to that building. The 2 men I sent earlier are already in position outside your mother's apartment door. They will protect her, but I cannot protect her forever if I do not remove the man who owns the building. Do you understand what I am telling you? You are going to kill my landlord. I am going to visit your landlord. Mr. Moretti, Alara, go back inside the sitting room. Lock the door. Luca will bring you coffee. Do not leave this restaurant until I come back for you. I want to go with you. Luca made a small sound. It was almost a laugh. Jack Moretti did not laugh. No. Mr. Moretti, please. No, Alara, absolutely not. She is my mother. And I am the man who just watched his fiancée try to poison him. And I am not going to spend the next hour of my life worrying about a waitress on top of everything else. You will stay here. Then take me to her. What? Take me to my mother, not to the landlord, to my mother. Let me sit with her while your men do what they do. I will not get in the way. I will not see anything. Please, Mr. Moretti. She is all I have. Jack Moretti stared at her. For 3 long seconds he stared, and then he said, Luca. Yes, boss. Second car. Take her to her mother. 2 men with her at all times. She does not come within 3 blocks of the first building. Is that clear? Crystal, boss. Alara. Yes, sir. If you get out of that car before Luca tells you to, you will not see me again. And you will not see whatever help I was going to give your family again either. Do you understand? Yes, sir. Get your coat. Alara did not have a coat. She had a thin black cardigan in her locker, and she grabbed it with hands that still did not work right, and she pulled it on as she ran through the kitchen past Rosa, who crossed herself, and past Polly, who looked at her with the stunned expression of a man watching a sparrow fly into a burning building. Alara, I can't talk now, Polly. Honey, whatever he's promising you, it's not worth it. He's not promising me anything. Then why are you in his car? She did not answer. She pushed through the back door into the alley, and the second black car was already idling there with its back door open, and a man in a suit was holding it for her. And she climbed inside, and the door closed behind her with a soft, inexpensive sound, and the car pulled away from the curb so smoothly she did not even feel the motion begin. Luca was in the front passenger seat. A driver she did not know was behind the wheel. 8th and Marston, Luca said. Take the long way. I want to see who's on that street before we stop. Yes, sir. Alara. Yes. Call your mother. What? Call her right now. Tell her there are 2 men outside her apartment door. Tell her they are friends. Tell her not to open the door for anyone who is not us. She's going to panic. She's going to panic more if she hears a strange voice through the peephole. Call her. Alara pulled out her phone. Her hands were trembling again. She pressed Mom. The phone rang twice. Her mother picked up. Baby. Mama. Baby, where are you? It's almost 10 o'clock. You never work past 10. Mama, listen to me. What's wrong, baby? Mama, there are 2 men outside our apartment door right now. Silence. Mama. Baby, what kind of men? They are friends. They are my friends. They are there to protect you. Do not open the door. Do not go near the door. I am coming home right now. I will be there in 15 minutes. Do you understand? Alara Marie Whitfield. Mama, please. What have you gotten yourself into, baby? I will explain when I get there. You will explain now. Mama, I can't. Alara, what have you done? I helped someone, Mama. Who? A customer at the restaurant. What customer? Mama, please just stay away from the door. I'm almost home. Alara. Yes, Mama. Is he one of them? Alara's breath stopped. Mama, what did you say? Is he one of them? Mama, I don't know what you're... Alara. Her mother's voice had changed. It was no longer the voice of a sick woman whispering from the edge of a bed. It was the voice of a younger woman, a woman Alara had not heard in 20 years, a woman she thought had been buried the day her father died. Listen to me very carefully. The men outside our door, are they wearing dark coats? Mama, how did you... Are they wearing dark coats, Alara? Yes. And the man you helped, the customer. Tell me his name. Mama. His name, baby. Jack Moretti. In the front seat, Luca's head turned very slightly toward the back. He was listening. On the other end of the phone, Alara's mother drew a long, slow, shaking breath. Oh, baby. Mama, what is it? Oh, baby, what have you done? Mama, you are scaring me. Alara, listen to me. When you get home, you do not tell the men with you anything at all, about me, about your father, about our past. Do you hear me? Mama, what past? Do you hear me? Yes, Mama. I will explain everything when you get here, but you tell them nothing. You understand nothing. Mama, I don't understand. You will, baby. You will. And the line went dead. Alara lowered the phone from her ear with a hand that had gone completely numb. In the front seat, Luca said, Everything all right, Ms. Whitfield? Yes. Your mother sounded upset. She is sick. She worries. Of course. Luca did not say anything else, but his eyes in the rear-view mirror were watching her the way a hawk watches a rabbit that has just frozen in the grass. The car turned onto 8th Street at 9:34 p.m. The driver slowed. 2 blocks ahead, 3 black cars were parked in a loose V formation across from a 4-story brick building with a pharmacy on the ground floor and a neon cross glowing in the 2nd-story window. Keep going, Luca said. Take us around the block. I want to see the south side. The car rolled past. Alara pressed her face to the window. She saw 2 men standing on the sidewalk across from the building, both in dark coats, both with their hands in their pockets. She saw a third man leaning against the hood of the middle car, smoking a cigarette. She did not see Jack. "Where is he?" she whispered. "Inside. Inside the building. Inside the landlord's apartment. First floor, rear unit. Mr. Volkov lives on site for security. He's in there right now." "He is? With who?" "With Mr. Volkov and a few friends." "What is he doing?" "He is having a conversation, Ms. Whitfield. That is all he is doing, having a conversation. And if the conversation doesn't go well..." Luca did not answer. The car turned the corner. The car pulled up in front of Alara's building, a narrow 5-story walk-up 3 blocks south of Volkov's building, with a rusted fire escape and a broken buzzer and a door that had been kicked open so many times the lock no longer latched properly, and Luca got out first. He opened the back door for Alara. He offered his hand. She did not take it. "Stairs," she said. "4th floor, 4B. After you." The 2 men outside her apartment door stepped aside as she approached. She did not look at them. She did not thank them. She did not trust her voice. The door opened before she could knock. Her mother stood in the doorway. Evelyn Whitfield was 53 years old and looked 70. Her hair had gone gray at 41 the year her husband had died. Her eyes had gone gray too. She had a cotton robe pulled tight around her shoulders and an inhaler in her left hand, and she looked at the 2 men in dark coats behind her daughter, and she looked at Luca, and she looked at Alara, and she said very quietly, "Everyone in? Now, before a neighbor sees." They stepped inside. Her mother locked the door behind them. "Mama?" "Not yet, baby." Her mother walked to the kitchen. She filled the electric kettle. She put it on the counter. She did not press the button. She turned around and she looked at Luca and she said, "You work for Jack Moretti?" "Yes, ma'am." 34 years old, gray eyes, scar on his neck from a car accident when he was 12. Luca's face did not move, but something in his shoulders did. "Yes, ma'am. He was 8 years old the last time I saw him." Alara's mouth opened. "Mama? Sit down, baby." "Mama, what are you talking about?" "Sit down." Alara sat. Her mother walked to the hall closet. She pulled out a step stool. She climbed it with the slow care of a woman whose knees no longer forgave her. She reached to the top shelf. She pulled down a dust-covered shoebox. She climbed down. She set the shoebox on the kitchen table. She lifted the lid. Inside the shoebox was a photograph, a single photograph, yellowed at the edges. Her mother picked it up with 2 fingers as if it might crumble, and she slid it across the table to Luca. Luca looked at it, and Luca, who had not shown a single expression for 6 years of working for Jack Moretti, sat down in the kitchen chair like a man whose legs had been kicked out from under him. "Oh my God," Luca said. "Yes." "Oh my God, Mrs. Whitfield." "Don't call me that." "What do I call you?" "You call me Evelyn. It is what your boss's father used to call me." Alara stood up so fast her chair fell over backward. "Mama, what is that picture?" Luca slid the photograph toward her. Alara looked at it. It was a photograph of 3 people at a kitchen table not unlike the one she was standing at right now. A younger version of her mother, a dark-haired man in a suit, and a little boy, maybe 7 or 8, sitting between them grinning at the camera with a missing front tooth. The little boy was Jack Moretti. The dark-haired man in the suit was Jack Moretti's father, and the younger version of her mother was not wearing the cotton robe. She was wearing a nurse's uniform. "Mama," Alara's voice was a whisper. "Mama, who is that little boy?" "You know who that little boy is, baby." "Mama, why are you in that picture?" Her mother sat down across from her. She put both hands on the kitchen table. She looked her daughter in the eyes. And she said, "Alara, before I married your father, before I had you, I was Antonio Moretti's private nurse. For 3.5 years, I lived in his house. I took care of him when he was sick. I watched his son grow up, and when I left that family in the winter of 1998 to marry a mechanic I had fallen in love with, Antonio Moretti gave me his blessing, and he told me on the day I walked out his front door that if I ever needed anything for the rest of my life, all I had to do was call. Mama. I never called. Mama. I never called, baby. Not once. Not when your father died. Not when I got sick, not when we ran out of money, not when the landlord doubled the rent. Not once. Why not? Because, baby, because your father made me promise. Promise what? Promise that you would never ever in your entire life know who that family was, that you would grow up clean, that you would work honest jobs, that you would never be touched by any of it. And I have kept that promise, Alara. For 26 years, I have kept that promise. Alara felt the room tilt. And tonight, baby, tonight you took the one man I promised your father you would never meet, and you sat him down at your table, and you wrote him a note, and you saved his life. Mama, I didn't know. I know you didn't, baby. I didn't know. I know. Luca cleared his throat. Mrs. Evelyn, the boss needs to know this. Yes, Luca. He is 4 blocks from here right now with Dmitry Volkov. If I call him and tell him he is going to walk out of that apartment and he is going to come to this kitchen and whatever he was going to do to Volkov is going to be the second most important thing on his mind tonight. Do you understand that? I understand. Do you want me to call him? Evelyn Whitfield looked at her daughter. Her daughter was crying, not loudly, just 2 silent tears rolling down a face that did not know what its own name meant anymore. Yes, Evelyn said. Call him. Luca stepped into this hallway to make the call. Alara sat frozen in her kitchen chair. Mama, the landlord, Dmitry Volkov, Mr. Moretti said. He said Volkov's brother tried to take the Moretti territory in 2011, that he has been laundering money through this building for years. I know. You know. I have known since we moved in, baby. Mama, why? Why did we move here if you knew? Why did you let me grow up in a building owned by? Because Dmitry Volkov did not know who I was. And I did not know who Dmitry Volkov was until 3 years after we moved in. And by then your father was dead and we could not afford to move. And as long as I was quiet, as long as I did not say anything to anyone, the Volkovs left us alone. And I was quiet, baby. I was quiet for 16 years. Mama. And then last spring, Dmitry Volkov came to this apartment in person for the first time in all the years we have lived here. Alara's blood went cold. What did he want? He wanted to know if I had ever worked for the Moretti family. What? He said he had heard a rumor from an old man in a nursing home in Queens. He said the rumor was that Antonio Moretti had kept a nurse in his house in the 90s who was now living in Brooklyn and raising a daughter. He wanted to know if that nurse was me. And what did you say? I said no. And did he believe you, Tom? No. Alara stood up. She walked to the window. She looked down at the street below, at the parked cars, at the fire hydrant, at the place where her father had once lifted her onto his shoulders and carried her home from school. Mama, yes, baby. Dad's accident. Silence. Mama, Dad's accident. The truck. On the highway. Laura, was it an accident? Her mother did not answer. Mama, was it an accident? Her mother looked down at her own hands and she said, I don't know, baby. What do you mean you don't know? I mean your father was a mechanic and your father knew engines. And the day before he died, he told me someone had put something under the hood of the woman's car. The woman whose tire he had stopped to fix. He told me the brake line had been tampered with. He told me he was going to call the police in the morning. And he died that night. He died that night. And you never told anyone. Who would I have told, baby? The police. Dmitry Volkov owned the police in this precinct back then. Antonio Moretti, I had promised your father I would never contact that family again. And your father was the only thing I had left of him. And I was afraid, Alara. I was afraid they would come for me. I was afraid they would come for you. Alara turned around. Her face was wet. Mama, yes, baby. Dmitry Volkov killed my father. I don't know that, baby. Dmitry Volkov killed my father. I don't know, baby. And tonight Jack Moretti is in his apartment, 4 blocks from here, right now, having a conversation with him. Yeah, Mama. Yes, baby. I want to go there. No. I want to look him into the face. Alara Marie Whitfield, you will not. And then Luca walked back into the kitchen. His phone was still in his hand. His face had gone a color Alara had never seen on a living human being. Luca, Evelyn said, what happened? The boss. What about him? He was inside the apartment for 9 minutes. He came out with Volkov in handcuffs. They put him in the lead car. They started to drive away. And In the second car in our convoy, the one behind the lead car, it exploded. Alara felt the floor drop out from under her. Oh my God. A car bomb under the chassis, placed sometime in the last 2 hours while we were at the restaurant. Is Mr. Moretti? He was not in that car. Thank God. But 3 of our men were. All 3 are dead. Evelyn's hand went over her mouth. Luca, she whispered, who planted the bomb? Luca looked at her with eyes that were starting to burn. We don't know yet, Evelyn, but the lead car pulled over 3 blocks away after the explosion. The boss got out. He opened the trunk. Dmitry Volkov was in the trunk in handcuffs. The boss pulled him out to the sidewalk. And Volkov looked up at him and he laughed, Evelyn. He laughed and he said 5 words. What 5 words? He said, it wasn't me, Mr. Moretti. Alara stopped breathing. And then he said, it was your wife. His wife. The word landed in the kitchen like a brick through a window. Alara stared at Luca. He doesn't have a wife. I know. He has a fiancée. He had a fiancée, Celeste. I know, Alara. So what is Volkov talking about? I don't know. Luca. I don't know, Alara. Does Mr. Moretti know? The boss is on his way here right now. Evelyn Whitfield rose from the kitchen chair so slowly that Alara thought for a moment her mother might fall. She walked to the sink. She filled a glass of water. She drank it in 3 swallows. She set the glass down. Luca. Yes, Evelyn. How long until he gets here? 4 minutes, maybe 3. Then I have 3 minutes to tell my daughter something that I have been hiding from her for 26 years, and I need you to walk into the hallway, and I need you to close the door behind you, and I need you to stand there, and I need you to not hear a single word of what I am about to say. Can you do that for me, Luca? Luca looked at her. He looked at Alara. He nodded once. He walked into the hallway. He closed the door behind him. Evelyn turned to her daughter. Alara. Mama. Sit down, baby. I am not sitting down. Sit down. Alara sat. Her mother stood above her, and her cotton robe was loose around her thin shoulders. Her hands were shaking, but it was not the sick shaking that Alara had grown used to watching over the last 3 years. It was a different kind of shaking. The shaking of a woman who had been carrying something heavy for so long that her arms had forgotten what it felt like to put it down. Alara, Jack Moretti was married once. What? A long time ago, when he was 22 years old, to a girl named Elena. She was 19. It was a small wedding. It was not in any newspaper. His father did not want it known. Why? Because Elena was not. Elena was not from a family the Morettis were supposed to marry into. What family? The Rowans. Alara's stomach dropped again. Elena was a Rowan? Elena was Celeste's older sister. Oh my God. Yes. Oh my God. Jack was 22. Elena was 19. They had met at a charity dinner. They had fallen in love. It was. Alara, it was the real thing. I saw it. Antonio told me about it. He hated it because the families had been enemies for 30 years, but he let it happen. He let his son marry a Rowan. He believed it would end the war. What happened to her? 6 months into the marriage, Elena was killed. How? A car accident. Alara's skin went cold. A car accident on a highway. Yes. Her brake line. Yes. Someone tampered with it. Yes. Mama. Mama who? Evelyn sat down across from her daughter. She put her hands flat on the table the way Celeste had been made to put her hands flat on the table. Alara, for 25 years, Jack Moretti has believed that his wife, Elena, was killed by his own father. He has believed that his father murdered his young bride because his father could not tolerate a Moretti being married to a Rowan. And from the day Elena died until the day Antonio died 2 years ago, Jack Moretti did not speak a single word to his father. Not one, not even at the funeral. And what did his father actually do? His father did not kill her baby. Then who did? Her own family. The Rowans. The Rowans. Because a Rowan girl marrying a Moretti boy was just as unacceptable to them as it was to the Morettis. Because Elena was in love. Because Elena would not come home. Because Elena had told her father she was pregnant. Pregnant. 4 months. She was going to tell Jack that weekend. She never got the chance. So Vincent Rowan murdered his own daughter and his own grandchild. And then Vincent Rowan sent his second daughter, Celeste, to Jack Moretti a decade later to make peace to marry him to heal the wound. And Jack Moretti, who had spent the last 10 years believing his father had killed his first wife, believed it. And then the peace. The peace, the engagement. Yes. For 6 years. For 6 years. Until tonight. Until tonight, Alara pressed her hands against her eyes. Mama, how do you know all of this? Because Antonio Moretti told me on his deathbed. What? 2 years ago, I was not his nurse anymore. But he asked for me. He sent Luca to find me. He had not seen me in 24 years. I went to him. He was dying. He was in pain. He could barely speak. And he took my hand and he told me what had really happened to Elena. And he begged me, Alara. He begged me to tell his son the truth because he could not tell him himself, because his son had not spoken to him in 23 years and would not come to his bedside even to say goodbye. And what did you do? I did nothing, baby. Mama, I did nothing because I had made a promise to your father, and your father had been dead for 15 years, and he was the only thing I had left, and I was not going to break a promise to a dead husband to keep a promise to a dying man. So Jack Moretti still doesn't know. Jack Moretti still does not know. He thinks his father killed his wife. He thinks his father killed his wife, and he believes Vincent Rowan came to him in peace, and he got engaged to Celeste to heal the families. And he does not know that Celeste is the daughter of the man who actually murdered his first wife. He does not know that when Celeste tried to poison him tonight, she was finishing a job her father started 25 years ago. Alara could not speak. Evelyn reached across the table and took her daughter's hands in her own. Baby, the man who is walking around the stairs of this building right now believes that his father was a monster. He has run his entire life on that one belief. Everything he has done, every man he has killed, every deal he has signed, every moment of his life for the last 25 years has been shaped by that belief. And in about 90 seconds, he is going to walk through that door, and I am going to have to decide whether or not to tell him that everything he has believed is a lie. Mama. Yes, baby. You have to tell him. I know. You have to. I know, Alara. But it is going to break him. Yes, it is going to break him. There was a knock on the door. 3 soft knocks. Luca's voice from the hallway said, Evelyn, he's here. Alara opened the door. Jack Moretti stood in the hallway of a 4th-floor walk-up in Brooklyn in a black overcoat with blood on the cuff, with his right hand still wrapped in a handkerchief that had now soaked through to the 2nd layer, and his gray-green eyes landed first on Alara and then on the older woman sitting at the kitchen table behind her. And Alara watched the face of the most dangerous man in 3 states do something she had not believed was possible. He went white. Evelyn. Hello, Jackie. Evelyn Whitfield. Yes. My God. He stepped into the apartment. He did not take off his coat. He walked past Alara as if he did not see her. He walked to the kitchen table. He stopped 4 feet from the chair where Evelyn was sitting, and he stood there, a 34-year-old man in a black coat, and he looked down at a 53-year-old woman in a cotton robe, and neither of them spoke for the longest 15 seconds of Alara Whitfield's life. You were the nurse? Jack finally said. I was the nurse. You left in 1998. The winter of 98. You were 8. You gave me a book before you left. I did. Treasure Island. Yes. I still have it. Evelyn's hands covered her face. Oh, Jackie. You married a mechanic. Yes, a good man. Yeah, he was a very good man. He died. Yes. I did not know. I know you did not know. I should have known. No, Jackie, you should not have. Jack pulled out the chair across from her. He sat down. He placed his bleeding hand on the table, palm up, and he looked at her and he said, Evelyn, Volkov is in the back of my car. He told me something before I put him in the trunk. He told me my wife planted the bomb. I know, Jackie. He is talking about Elena. I know. Elena has been dead for 25 years, Evelyn. So either Dmitry Volkov was lying or he was trying to provoke me. Or what, Jackie? Or Elena is not dead. The apartment was so quiet, Alara could hear the refrigerator hum. Jackie, tell me the truth, Evelyn. I have been spending 25 years getting lied to, And tonight the lies are catching up with me all at once, and I do not have the patience for one more. Is my wife alive? I don't know, Jackie. Don't know. I have no idea. I have not heard that name in 25 years, until tonight. Then why did Volkov say it? Jackie. Why did he say it, Evelyn? Because he wanted you to come after him with your eyes closed. Because he is trying to make you angry. Because a man with a brain that is on fire cannot think. Then help me think. I will, but first I have to tell you something. Tell me. Something about your father. Jack Moretti's face closed like a door. I have nothing to say about my father. I know you don't, but I do. Evelyn, your father did not kill Elena. The kitchen went dead silent. Alara, standing in the doorway, pressed her hand against the frame to keep her knees steady. Jack Moretti's gray-green eyes did not move. They did not narrow. They did not widen. They simply went very, very still, the way the surface of a lake goes still the second before a storm. Evelyn. Yes, Jackie. Be very careful about what you are about to say to me. I am going to be careful, Jackie, because I loved your father. I was his nurse for 3.5 years. I took care of him through 2 heart surgeries. I watched him cry at your first communion. I watched him teach you to tie your tie before your mother's funeral. And I am telling you now, Jack Moretti, and I am telling you on the memory of my own husband, who is buried at Greenwood Cemetery in a plot your father paid for without me ever knowing until 2 years ago, that Antonio Moretti did not kill your wife. Jack did not move. Alara was not sure he was breathing. Then who did? His voice was so flat it did not sound like a voice anymore. Vincent Rowan. Jack's hand on the table began to shake, slowly at first, then not so slowly. Her own father. Her own father. Why? Because she was pregnant, Jackie. She was 4 months pregnant with your son. And she had told Vincent that weekend, and Vincent had told her she was going to lose the baby, and she had told him no, and Vincent had left the room, and Elena had driven home, and her brake line had been cut, and the truck on the highway had been waiting. Jack Moretti's face did something that Alara had never seen a grown man's face do before. It crumbled. It did not cry. It did not scream. It did not break in any one big piece. It crumbled the way a brick wall crumbles after a long rain, one small piece at a time, until there is nothing left but a man sitting at a kitchen table who has just been told that the last 25 years of his life were built on sand. My father. Yes. Never killed Elena. No. And I never spoke to him again. You never spoke to him again. He died without me in the room. Yes. He begged you to tell me. On his deathbed, yes. And you did not tell me. No. Why, Evelyn? Because your father had promised my husband that none of this would ever touch my daughter. And my husband had been murdered 6 years earlier. And my daughter was all I had left. And I was afraid, Jackie. I was afraid that the moment I told you the truth, the war would come back, and it would come for my Alara. So I was quiet. I was a coward. I was quiet for 2 years. And I am sorry. I am so sorry, Jackie. Jack Moretti did not speak for a very long time. When he finally did, his voice was the voice of a man speaking from underwater. Celeste. Yes, Jackie. Celeste is Vincent Rowan's second daughter. Yes. She was 14 years old when Elena died. Yes. She knew. She knew Jackie. She came to me when I was 28. She said she wanted to heal the families. She said her father had grieved Elena every day. She said her father had written me a letter once that he never sent asking for my forgiveness. She said she wanted to be the bridge. Yes. I believed her. Yes. I believed her, Evelyn. I know you did, Jackie. I loved her. I know. I was going to marry her in 6 weeks. I know. And she was going to kill me. Yes. Like her father killed my Elena. Yes. And if I had drunk that wine tonight, you would not be sitting at this table. Jack Moretti closed his eyes. He closed them for a long, long time, and when he opened them, something in his face had changed so completely that Alara did not recognize him anymore. He stood up. He walked to the kitchen sink. He turned on the cold water. He unwrapped the bloody handkerchief from his right hand. There was a deep cut across his palm, a long diagonal wound that was still weeping red, and he held it under the running water. And he did not flinch. and he did not make a sound. Luca? Yes, boss. Call Marco at the restaurant. Yes, boss. Tell him Celeste is his problem for the next 2 hours. She is to be held in the back office. She is not to be harmed. She is not to be released. If Tony Castellano tries to leave, you put 2 men on the door and you keep him there. Do you understand? Yes, boss. Then call Anthony. Tell him to get 6 cars to the Rowan estate. Surround the property. No one in, no one out. They do not move until I arrive. Is that clear? Yes, boss. And Luca? Yes, boss. Dmitry Volkov is still in the trunk of the lead car downstairs. Yes, boss. Get him out. Bring him up here. Evelyn stood up so fast her chair scraped. Jackie, not in this kitchen. I am not going to hurt him in your kitchen, Evelyn. I need to ask him one question. What question? I need to ask him why he said your wife. He said it to distract you. He said it because he knew something, Evelyn. Dmitry Volkov has been running this building for 15 years. He knew you were here. He knew your daughter was here. He has been watching this family for 15 years, and tonight he knew before I knew that my fiancée was going to try to kill me. How did he know Evelyn? And why did he use the word wife? Evelyn had no answer. Jack turned off the faucet. He dried his hand on a dish towel. Blood bloomed through the fabric. Luca, bring Volkov up. They brought Dmitry Volkov up the 4 flights of stairs in handcuffs with duct tape across his mouth, with a split lip and a black eye and a bruise on his forehead from where he had been thrown into the trunk head first, and 2 of Jack's men deposited him in the middle of Evelyn Whitfield's kitchen like a sack of flour. Volkov was 58 years old. He had thick gray hair and a boxer's nose and the shoulders of a man who had spent the first 40 years of his life doing physical labor before he had spent the last 18 laundering money. He looked around the kitchen. He saw Evelyn. He saw Alara, and he did something that stopped every heart in the room. He smiled. Even through the duct tape, the smile was unmistakable. A small, cold, satisfied smile. The smile of a man who had been waiting years for this exact moment and was now enjoying it. Jack Moretti stepped forward. He pulled the duct tape off Volkov's mouth in one single motion. Volkov did not even wince. Dmitry, Mr. Moretti, downstairs in the car, you told me my wife planted the bomb. Yes. I want you to say it again. For these 2 women. Slowly, and I want you to tell me what you meant. Volkov looked at Evelyn, then at Alara, then back at Jack, and he said, I meant your wife, Mr. Moretti, your current one. I am not married. You are Mr. Moretti. You have been for 16 years. You just don't know it. What are you talking about, Elena did not die in that car accident, Mr. Moretti. Alara's breath left her body. She was in the car, yes. She was badly hurt. She lost the baby, but she did not die. What? Vincent Rowan pulled her from the wreckage before the ambulance arrived. He had her moved to a private facility in Vermont. He told you she was dead because he could not let his daughter come back to you as a cripple. He could not let her come back to you carrying the memory of what he had done. So he hid her for 25 years. He kept her alive in a locked room upstairs in his estate. And tonight, Mr. Moretti, tonight 3 hours ago, while you were sitting at a candle-lit dinner with her sister, Elena Moretti walked out of her father's house, and she got into a car, and she drove to the parking garage behind my building, and she planted under the chassis of your second car with her own 2 hands. The kitchen did not breathe. Jack Moretti did not breathe. And why would she do that, Dmitry? Because she heard about the engagement, Mr. Moretti, and because for 25 years in a locked room, she has had one thing to think about. She has had her husband. She has had the man who married her, who buried her, who moved on with his life, who let himself get engaged to her own sister. And tonight, Mr. Moretti, tonight Elena Rowan Moretti came downstairs, and she wants her life back. Where is she, Dmitry? I don't know, Mr. Moretti. Where is she? I don't know, but I know one thing. She is not going to come looking for you first. Who is she going to come looking for? And Dmitry Volkov turned his head very slowly, and he looked directly at Evelyn Whitfield and then at Alara. And he smiled one more time and he said, she is going to come looking for the woman your father trusted with everything. The woman who knew you as a little boy. The woman who in every letter your father ever wrote to Elena during the 6 months of your marriage, was mentioned by name as the only person in the world he loved more than his own son. Evelyn's face went white. And her daughter. Her daughter. The word hung in the kitchen like smoke. Alara stepped backward until her shoulder blades hit the refrigerator. Mama. Alara, don't move. Mama, what is he saying? Baby, don't move. Jack Moretti's right hand was already inside his coat. His left hand was already on Dmitry Volkov's throat. He had closed the distance between himself and the handcuffed man so fast that neither Luca nor the two men in the doorway had time to blink. Dmitry. Yes, Mr. Moretti. You are going to tell me exactly what you just said. I did, Mr. Moretti. Why is Elena coming for Evelyn's daughter? Because of a letter, Mr. Moretti. What letter? A letter your father wrote to Elena in the summer of 2000, 2 years after Evelyn left. Your father was. Your father was a sentimental man, Mr. Moretti. He wrote letters he never sent. He wrote one to Elena when she was pregnant, telling her how happy he was that she was carrying his grandson. And at the end of that letter, he wrote a paragraph. What paragraph? He wrote, Elena, I have known only one woman in my life whose goodness I trusted without doubt. Her name was Evelyn. She left this house to marry a good man and build a clean life, and I blessed her on the day she walked out my door. She is carrying a child of her own now, a daughter, and I pray every night that my own grandchild grows up to be half the woman Evelyn's little girl will be. The kitchen was completely silent. Elena read that letter of Mr. Moretti. In her father's house, locked in a room for 25 years, she read that letter over and over. And 25 years is a long time to sit in a locked room reading a letter about a nurse your father-in-law loved more than his own son, and the daughter of that nurse who was supposed to be everything his own grandchild could not be. She blames them. She has had 25 years, Mr. Moretti, to blame somebody. Her father is a monster. Her sister was her father's puppet. Her husband moved on. But the nurse was loved. The nurse had a daughter. The nurse's daughter grew up. The nurse's daughter got a job and fell in love and had a whole life while Elena sat in a room and counted the ceiling tiles. Alara's hands were shaking. Jack Moretti's voice had gone very, very quiet. Dmitry, when did Elena leave the Rowan estate tonight? About 6 o'clock. Where was she going first? I don't know, Mr. Moretti. Where was she going first? I don't know, Mr. Moretti, but I know she was not going to come to the restaurant. She was going to let her sister do that. She was going to wait. And after everything was done, after she thought her husband was dead, she was going to come here, to 8th and Marston, tonight, to see the old nurse. Luca's phone was already in his hand. Boss. Luca, how many men on the door downstairs right now? 4. The stairwell. 2. The roof. 1. The fire escape. Luca paused. We don't have anyone on the fire escape, boss. Jack Moretti's head turned very slowly toward the kitchen window. And at that exact moment, at that exact impossible moment, the kitchen window slid open from the outside. She was already inside before any of them could move. She stepped through the open window and onto the linoleum floor like a woman who had been practicing this moment for 25 years, which Alara realized too late was exactly what she had been doing. Elena Rowan Moretti was 44 years old. She wore a long black coat. She had her sister's face, but older, sharper, hollowed out by 2.5 decades of a single room and a single thought. She had a gun in her right hand, and she was pointing it at Evelyn Whitfield. Hello, Evie. Evelyn's glass of water slipped out of her fingers. It hit the table. It did not break, but the water spilled and the water ran across the kitchen table toward the edge, and Alara watched it drip onto the floor in slow motion because her brain had stopped processing anything faster than that. Elena, you remember me. I remember you, sweetheart. Don't sweetheart me. Elena, please put down the gun. No one move. Not one of you. Not 1 inch. Or I put a bullet in her forehead before any of you can clear a weapon. The 2 men in the doorway froze. Luca froze. Jack Moretti, who had not yet turned his full body toward the window, froze. Only his eyes moved. Elena. Hello, Jackie. My God. Yes, your God. You're alive. I noticed. Elena. Don't. Her voice cracked just once at the edge. Don't you dare say my name like that, Jackie. You buried me. You buried me. You went to my funeral. You threw dirt on my coffin, and then you went home, and you healed, and you got engaged, and you let the whole world watch you fall in love with my sister. I thought you were dead, Elena. I was not dead. I did not know. You did not want to know Jackie. Elena, shut up, shut up. I am not talking to you right now. I am talking to her. The barrel of the gun did not move. It stayed pointed at Evelyn's forehead. Evelyn had not moved either. Her hands were flat on the table palm. Down the way she had taught Alara to keep her hands very still. Her face was calm. Her eyes were steady. Alara realized with a cold little shock that her mother was not afraid. Her mother had been ready for this moment for a long time. Hello, Elena. Evie. Put the gun down, honey. No, please. He loved you more than he loved my husband, Evie. He did not, Elena. He wrote it. He wrote a lot of things, Elena. He was an old man and he was sick and he was in pain and he wrote things he never meant to send. That letter was never supposed to be read. But I read it, Evie. Locked in a room for 25 years, I read it. Every day, every night, every single morning, I read that letter and I thought about you and your daughter and the life she was out there living. While I sat in a room with a window that didn't open, counting tiles. Elena. How old is she, Evie? Alara could not breathe. 29, but then. 29, older than I was when he took me. My baby would have been 25 this year. Did you know that, Jackie? Did you ever do the math? Jack Moretti's face was the color of ash. I did the math every year, Elena. You did not. On his birthday, every year, I did the math. Don't lie to me, Jackie. I am not lying. You got engaged to my sister. Elena, I thought you were dead. You should have known. How, Elena? How should I have known? You should have felt it. A husband should feel it, Jackie. When his wife is still in the world, he should feel it in his chest. And you didn't feel anything. You moved on. You let her put her hand on yours. You let her sit in my chair. Elena, shut up, Jackie. I told you to shut up. She took a step toward Evelyn. Evelyn did not move. Alara, against every instinct in her body, took one step forward. Stop, Elena's head snapped toward her. Stop what, little girl? Stop pointing that gun at my mother. Or what? Or point it at me instead. The room went electric. Evelyn whispered, Alara, no. Jack Moretti said, Alara, do not. Alara took another step forward. I am the one you came here to see, aren't I? The daughter in the letter. I am the one you have been reading about for 25 years. I am the one who got to have a life. So point the gun at me. Leave my mother alone. Elena Moretti stared at her for a long, long time. She stared at her, and then very slowly the barrel of the gun began to move. It slid away from Evelyn. It slid through the air. It came to rest perfectly level, pointed at the center of Alara Whitfield's chest. Look at you. Look at me. 29 years old. Yes. Standing in a kitchen. Yes. Talking back to a woman with a gun. Yeah. Your father's daughter. Yes. I watched you once, you know. What? 7 years ago, when my father let me out of the room for 2 hours for a medical appointment, he let me sit in the back of the car on the drive to the doctor, and we passed the diner where you were working that year. The one on Flatbush. My father pointed you out through the window. He said, there she is, Elena, the one you read about. Working a diner, no father, sick mother, dead-end life. You see what I spared you from. Elena. And I sat in the back of that car, looking at you through the window, pouring coffee, smiling at a table of construction workers. You were 22. You were pretty. You were tired. And I hated you, little girl. I hated you so much I could not breathe. I'm sorry. Don't you dare be sorry. I'm sorry you were in that room. I'm sorry your father put you there. I'm sorry my mother did not come for you. I'm sorry Jack did not come for you. I'm sorry the whole world forgot you were alive. I am sorry, Elena. I am sorry for every single one of those 25 years. But if you shoot me, none of that changes. Your life does not come back. Your baby does not come back. Your 20s do not come back. And you will have killed a waitress who wrote your husband a note to keep him breathing tonight so that you could come here and meet him one more time. That is all I did, Elena. I kept him breathing. For you. The gun was shaking. Elena's whole arm was shaking. Jack Moretti took one single step forward. Don't, Jackie. Elena, please. Don't you come near me. I am coming near you. Jackie, I will shoot her. No, you won't. I will. No. He was 3 feet from her now. His right hand was empty. His left hand was empty. He held both of them up, palms out. You won't, Elena, because you did not come here to kill a waitress. You came here to find me, and I am right in front of you. So put the gun on the counter and you look at me and you tell me what you need me to hear. Jackie, put the gun on the counter, Elena. Her face broke. It did not crumble the way Jack's had crumbled earlier. It broke all at once, the way a sheet of ice breaks when you drop it. Her eyes filled. Her mouth opened. A sound came out of her that was not a word. It was the sound of 25 years coming out at once. She set the gun on the counter. She set it down carefully, the way a woman sets down a fragile plate, and then her hand was empty, and her knees gave out, and Jack Moretti caught her before she hit the floor. He held her. He held her in Evelyn Whitfield's kitchen on a Tuesday night in October, a 34-year-old man in a bloody overcoat holding a 44-year-old woman in a long black coat, and she cried into the front of his shirt, and he did not say anything, and he did not try to fix anything, and he just held her the way he had not been able to hold her for 25 years. And Alara Whitfield stepped back against the refrigerator, and her mother stood up from the kitchen table, and Luca in the doorway quietly took the gun from the counter and slipped it into his coat pocket, and 2 men in the hallway quietly took Dmitry Volkov by the elbows and removed him from the kitchen. And for the first time that night, the apartment at 8th and Marston was quiet. 3 hours later, the sun had not yet come up, but something had shifted in the sky the way it shifts in the hour before dawn when you have been awake the entire night and you no longer know if you are exhausted or simply born into a different life. Jack Moretti sat at the kitchen table. Elena Moretti sat across from him. They had not spoken in 40 minutes. Evelyn had made coffee. Everyone had a cup. No one had taken a sip. Alara sat at the end of the table, her hands wrapped around a mug that had gone cold. Elena finally spoke. Jackie. Yes, Elena. My father. Yes. Where is he? Luca has 6 cars at the estate right now. He is not leaving that house tonight. Do not kill him. Jack blinked. What? Do not kill him, Jackie. Elena, I know what you are thinking. I know what you want to do. I have thought about it every single day for 25 years. I have planned it. I have written letters in my head. I have watched him walk past my door 1,000 times and imagined reaching through the keyhole and taking his eyes out. And I am telling you, Jackie, I am telling you as the woman who has more right than anyone on this planet to take his life. Do not kill him. Then what? Put him in a room. A room. A room with a window that does not open. A locked door, 1 meal a day pushed through a slot. No letters, no phone, no visitors, for the rest of his life. Elena, let him have what he gave me, Jackie, every single day of it, for however many days he has left. Jack looked at her for a long time. And Celeste. Elena's face did something complicated. Celeste was 14 when he took me. Jackie, she was a child. She tried to poison me tonight, Elena. I know. She was going to take my territory. I know. She is her father's daughter. She is my sister, Jackie. He closed his eyes. What do you want me to do with her, Elena? I don't know yet. Give me a week. Give me a week to sit with her, not alone with Luca in the room. I have not seen my sister in 25 years. Let me talk to her. Let me look her in the face. And then I will tell you what I want you to do with her. And whatever I tell you, Jackie, whatever I tell you, you will do. Yes, Elena. Do you promise me? I promise you. Because I have spent 25 years without a single person in this world asking me what I wanted. Not my father, not my doctors, not the women who fed me. And now I am asking one thing from you, Jackie, one thing. Whatever you want, Elena. I want to be asked. He nodded once, and then she reached across the table and she took his hand, the bandaged one, and she held it the way a wife holds a husband's hand after a bad dream. At 6:30 in the morning, Luca's phone rang once and he answered it and he listened for 30 seconds and he hung up without saying a word and he walked to the kitchen table. Boss? Yes, Luca. Vincent Rowan? Yes. He is in the lead car downstairs. You brought him here. I brought him here. Alive. Alive. Cuffed. Cuffed. Jack looked at Elena. Elena looked at Jack. Jackie. Yes. Do not bring him into this kitchen. I won't. I don't want him in the same room as Evie or the girl. He will not come in. Take me downstairs. Elena. Take me downstairs, Jackie. I want to see him with my own two eyes. One time. And then I want you to put him in his room and close the door, and I never want to see him again for the rest of my life. Jack stood up. He held out his hand. Elena took it. They walked out of the kitchen together. Evelyn sat at the table with her hands folded. Alara sat at the end with her cold coffee. For a long time, neither of them spoke. Mama? Yes, baby. Is this real? Yes, baby. My father? Yes, baby. He was murdered. Yes, baby, he was murdered. By Dmitry Volkov. By Dmitry Volkov, on orders from Vincent Rowan, to send a message to Antonio Moretti, to remind him that any woman he had ever trusted was a woman the Rowans could touch. Mama. Yes, baby. I was 9 years old. I know, baby. I asked you which kind of person Daddy was. I remember. The ones who walked past or the ones who jumped in. I remember. He told me he was trying. He was trying, baby. Mama. Yes. I think I jumped in tonight. Her mother reached across the table and took her daughter's hand. I think you did too, baby. Alara Whitfield did not go to work the next day. She did not go to work the day after that. Luciano's Steakhouse reopened 3 days later with a new waitress at table 12, a young woman from Queens who did not know the story and never would. Two men in dark coats stood outside the apartment at 8th and Marston for a week, and then they were gone, and the fire escape was repaired, and the broken lock on the front door of the building was replaced with a new one, and the buzzer was fixed, and the rent was never due again. Dmitry Volkov was not seen again in the city of New York. His 47 buildings were quietly transferred over the course of 18 months to a real estate trust managed by an attorney Luca kept on retainer. Every tenant in every one of those buildings saw their rent frozen permanently at whatever rate they had been paying on October the 14th. Vincent Rowan was placed in a room in a house in upstate New York. The room had one small window that did not open, a locked door, one meal a day pushed through a slot, no letters, no phone, no visitors. He lived for 11 more years. He died on a Tuesday in March alone in the same chair he had sat in every morning for 4,019 days. And when the woman who brought him his meals found him, she did not cry, and she did not call anyone right away, and she finished her shift before she made the phone call. Celeste Rowan was not killed. Elena sat with her for 2 weeks in a room with Luca present, and at the end of those 2 weeks, Elena made her decision, and her decision was that Celeste would be sent to a convent in northern Italy with a standing arrangement that if she ever left the grounds, she would be returned. Celeste did not leave the grounds. Celeste was still there the last anyone checked, running a small pottery class for the novices. Elena and Jack did not remarry. They did not move back in together. They had been apart too long, and Elena had a life to rebuild, and Jack had an empire to run, and neither of them pretended that 25 years could be erased with a kiss. But they spoke on the phone every evening. They had dinner every Sunday. She took a small apartment in the West Village with a window that opened and 3 plants on the windowsill and a bookshelf that she filled book by book with every novel she had thought about in that locked room. And Alara Whitfield. Alara Whitfield paid off her mother's hospital bills in a single afternoon. She moved her mother into a 2-bedroom apartment with central heating and a working elevator and a view of the river. She bought her mother a chair that reclined. She bought her mother a new inhaler and a second inhaler to keep in the kitchen and a third to keep in her purse. She did not go back to waitressing. She went back to school. She had dropped out of nursing school 8 years earlier when her mother had gotten sick. Jack Moretti paid the tuition for her to finish. She did not ask him to. He did it anyway. She finished her degree in 2.5 years. She got her license. She went to work at a hospital in Brooklyn on a cardiac unit, and she was very, very good at her job, and she never told any of her patients that the hands taking their pulse had once slid a folded napkin under a wine glass to save the life of the most dangerous man in 3 states. But every Tuesday night, she ate dinner at Luciano's Steakhouse. at table 12. Jack Moretti sat across from her sometimes. Sometimes Elena sat with them, sometimes Evelyn, sometimes Luca. And every Tuesday night, when Alara Whitfield walked into that restaurant, the new host would smile at her, and the new waitress would nod at her, and Rosa, who still worked the dinner shift, and Paulie, who still tended the bar, would raise their hands in a small, quiet salute the way a person salutes a soldier who has come home from a war no one else knew was happening. And Alara would sit down at table 12, and she would open the menu. And she would remember the 7 words she had written in blue ink on a folded napkin on the night that everything she had ever believed about her own life turned out to be a lie. And everything she had ever believed about herself turned out to be true. Your fiancé is plotting against you. Leave now. 7 words. That was all it had taken. 7 words from a waitress nobody saw, scrawled in a handwriting that shook only at the very end, slid under a wine glass in a restaurant where powerful men ate and powerful women smiled and quiet girls kept their mouths closed. 7 words had saved a man's life. 7 words had ended a war. 7 words had pulled a woman out of a locked room after 25 years. 7 words had buried a father's ghost and laid a husband's grief to rest and brought a daughter face to face with the truth of her own blood. And Alara Whitfield, who had been a waitress at Luciano's Steakhouse for 3 years, 4 months, and 16 days, and who had never once in her life written a note on the back of a check pad, would never, as long as she lived, to be the kind of person who walked past. She was the kind who jumped in. Her father had told her so. And on the night she jumped, the whole world had jumped with her.